code. Okay, there you go.
And then can you please enable me to share my screen?
Yes, I shall do that. Oh, it's already enabled, it says. Oh, no, it isn't.
It says I need to host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Oh, I've just ticked it now. Try it now. Oh, Zoom's become really odd of late. Not yet.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to actually move to another room just while this loads. So Em and I are going to be chatting about sustainability in art together. And it's just, we want to kind of initiate a bit of a discussion and then also maybe give you guys some tips on how you can include sustainability in your art. So as Pamela mentioned, Em and I do the content and stuff for Artisanry and for the makers, and we're always excited when we see a new maker come on board that has got some sustainability focus, which is very cool. And the reason is because sustainability is one of the key pillars and the sustainable development goals. Is that what it's, the SDG?
Yeah, SDGs, yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of our SDGs at Artisanry is sustainability and social impact. And so because it's so important to us, we really want to encourage makers to, invest in sustainable practices as much as possible. And it's actually a lot easier than a lot of makers think that it is. It doesn't mean that you only use organic products and you have to go out of your way to, and cost and pay a lot more for sustainable products. It's actually a lot easier to do in your everyday practices. So it can manifest in several ways, including making sure that your products are quality and last a long time, focusing on social impact. So maybe sustainability is not just like environmental sustainability, it's also about economic sustainability. So are you giving back into a community or a charity that you care about in that? As well as eco-conscious practices and themes. So we've recently run a marine life campaign that focuses on art and, how certain artists promote marine life and ocean conservation through their art. So it's introducing sustainable messaging and theme into their artwork. So at Artisanry, we proudly describe ourselves as an ethical marketplace. So even in our business structure, we aim to be sustainable in terms that we have fair and transparent pricing structures on the site. And, we look after the makers and we emphasize sustainability. And those are just small ways that we've introduced sustainability into our business model. So by showing the appreciation for the process of creating handmade products and raising awareness of local makers, sustainability is always at the forefront of what we do. So I'm just going to have a little bit of a chat before handing over to Em about who's going to give us tips. And this is in the way now. Maybe I should just make this smaller. There we go. So there's two parts to being a maker and having sustainability. There's the role of sustainability in the creation process, and there's the role that sustainability plays in the buying process. So just to give you a little bit of context for the maker process, craft sales, we've looked at the Craft Council report, the most recent one, and craft sales have increased from £883 million in 2006 to over 3 billion last year. And as you can see, this is a huge jump. It's a huge growth. And it means that there's a large segment that has the potential to make an even bigger difference in a sustainable way. So can you imagine if that 3 billion pounds worth of industry and craft sales were all focused on sustainability, how much more of an impact that would have on sustainability as a whole? So this leads us to say, as a maker, how are you contributing to that growth of sustainability? Are we asking ourselves regularly whether we're working with sustainability in the front of our minds? Is this something that we constantly check in on? Because there's always ways to improve, which is the next question we should ask ourselves. Is there room for us to improve sustainable practices, however big and however small? So we'll get to some small ways to incorporate sustainability in a bit, but maybe just think about that as we chat a little bit, so that when we open up the floor, we can maybe have a bit of a brainstorming session and maybe challenge yourself to think about this a little bit more. And then it's not just about sustainability as a maker and something that you prioritize, but it's also the consumer's priority. So the impact of sustainability on purchase potential. So for example, ethical consumerism is important for both existing and potential buyers. And this is a fact and a growing statistic. The majority of craft buyers admit to being persuaded to buy from the appeal of individualism. They want to have a bespoke item. They want to have a one-of-a-kind item. They want to have an item that has been handmade or will last a long time. And a lot of buyers and potential buyers consider whether the item they're about to buy has been made in a sustainable way. So even if you're not doing it for yourself, if you want to do it, for the fact that people are going to be more persuaded to buy your products because of the sustainable element that they have to them. And the majority of buyers and potential buyers are actually altruistic in their focus, meaning that they want to support local talent as a financial investment. They want to be able to see local crafters, local jewelry makers, local artists thrive and do well. And they're willing to pay in order to see that happen. And that's also an element of sustainability as well, in the form of, I suppose, social impact, you could say. So sustainable living and ethical consumption has a growing impact on the purchasing decision, and it's becoming a growing social trend. It's not showing any sign of slowing down. And these are just a few reasons that we should be having sustainability in the front of our mind, over and above the fact that you have an opportunity to have a positive impact on the environment and on the economy. So with that in mind, Ems, do you want to give us a few tips on how to practice sustainability? I don't know if you want to share your screen. I'll stop sharing my screen and you can take over. Is that cool?
Sure. Let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Present at the top right corner.
There we go. Thanks. Alrighty, so these are just 5 tips to practice sustainability within your brand. Like Pavna said at the beginning, some are fairly simple, some may be things that you already do, and some might be new ideas that you might not have thought of. Although I think that we are all very aware about sustainability practices, and it is, like we've seen through statistics and kind of just a feeling for how the world is going, a very big topic of, kind of what people are trying to implement into their businesses and lifestyles in nowadays. So tip 1 is attaining resources. So really thinking about your brand from its very beginning, kind of where are the pieces coming from that you need to create every aspect of your brand. So lowering your carbon footprint by sourcing supplies locally. A great example this week that just came up was with Wee Beauties, and her wool that she sources is local, which means it doesn't have to travel far, and she's able to keep that carbon footprint of hers as small as possible. And another great benefit of this is that idea of social impact. You're a small, maker, and you're there and supporting other small suppliers and, smaller, more independent businesses, which is great. So the second tip is to reuse and recycle. And this is something I think that we all know and practice to the best of our abilities, recycling our personal rubbish, and then of course the waste from your business, using recycled products or materials as much as possible, whether it be equipment, maybe, getting something fixed rather than getting a new one, or buying a second-hand one. Trying to incorporate recycled materials in other areas. If you aren't able to use recycled materials for your actual product, maybe the packaging. I read last night, zero waste companies, use the packaging that they receive their supplies in to send off once they're delivering their goods and services. So something like that. Avoid single-use products, of course, plastic, or things that are just throwaway. Try and invest in processes and ways that can be reused, and reduce your waste by using scraps, like Ruth said, the leftovers from cut metals maybe, or whatever it is, you know, using the leftover leather that's cut to create a smaller item that can be sold, so that every part of your materials are being used and not wasted. And really thinking of the process again from start to finish. Then tip 3 is creating products that last. So this was said earlier at the beginning of the discussion, and just another stat to kind of drive this one home is that on the Harvard Business Review, 65% of people who are part of a survey said they wanted to buy purpose-driven brands that advocate sustainability, which is a huge percentage of consumers. And so avoiding, like we said at the beginning, that idea of fast fashion, single-use products, and really having, we say fashion, but it applies to all of the kind of fields of arts and crafts that are a part of this creative kind of sector. But using slow methods and using this message as a part of your branding. You know, people are happy to wait to get a ring or a piece of clothing or a wallet that takes time if it's made by somebody who has a purpose and is doing things wonderfully with quality and an amazing message. People are more than happy to not only wait but pay a price that might be more, or that usually is. So that's great and should be really told to your audience. So again, products shouldn't be thrown away, and these, while they're not, you know, like Han said, 100% necessary to be the forefront of your marketing, it is an added benefit to use them as a marketing tool because people enjoy these messages so much. And then just another note on your packaging to remember about every single piece of the packaging, you know, the bubble wrap that's inside it. You can get ones where you just simply wash it, rinse it with water and it dissolves, to the plastic tape or the stickers with the glue. Having kind of a really mindful, aware kind of thought pattern really helps make your brand even more special and like can help you be sustainable in ways that you might have never thought of before. So tip 4 is to reduce your carbon footprint. And I've said here to take all household measures. So the things that we do in our homes and that have been hammered home, to just copy those things and take them over to your studio or your business, wherever that may be. So like simple things like switching off lights that aren't needed, reusing water where possible, these recycling, you know, plastic, having eco bricks where you cut off plastic that can't be recycled and put it into a 2-liter bottle and then that is used as a brick. All of those kind of practices, what you're doing at home, just translating them into your business. And another great way to lower your carbon footprint is to share a working space with fellow artisans. Glass Lab is busy doing this, and it's a great way to reduce your carbon footprint. And step 5, or tip 5 for us, is keeping the cycle going. And this really relates back to Artisanry's very strong focus on social impact. Because like we said, it's not just, you know, environmental sustainability that we need, but also economic sustainability. So giving back where you can and spreading the positive message that you're using within your business is a great way to make other people aware of easy ways that they could be more sustainable in their lives, and supporting one another. And this doesn't mean supporting other businesses only financially. Supporting other business can mean liking their Instagram pages, sharing their posts, doing things that don't cost any money, but eventually really impact a business through that support, engaging, recommending. If a friend is looking for a perfect gift for, you know, her anniversary, recommending, say, another artisanry maker who is sustainable, or who isn't, but who's an independent maker, is a great way that doesn't cost you any money, but still really shows your support within the community. And I think that's all.
Thank you very much, Emily. It's interesting because there's no input of mine in this presentation the girls have done. But what is very interesting is one of the things that one of the advisors we have on our platform is somebody who specializes in carbon footprint management. And I think right at the start, I thought, it's just ridiculous. We have these huge vans turning up at the house with tiny parcels, or Amazon sending, I don't know, a small thing in a box that's absolutely enormous. And that has to be wrong. And it just sort of brings me back to the same point that, it is so important about how we package, how we send, how we post, and how we reuse. It is simple in some ways, in every way actually. And it's about the mindfulness of remembering it, that we owe it to our environment and to our future generations, that we need to be a lot more cautious with it. That's really good, thank you. Any thoughts, ladies?
Well, for me, it's just, sorry.
I'm already doing most of these things, yeah.
Well, that's really good. That's really good. And the point that Emily also made about using it in your marketing and your social media is extremely key as well. Not just saying that you're sustainable, but actually demonstrating that you're sustainable. I think
sending the message, like advocating the message of sustainability, plays a big role in getting other makers to get on board as well with that kind of movement.
I think one of the things one of the marketing companies, external consultants that we work with, and the word that they came back with all over the report was sustainability. And that was pretty much it, for marketing point of view. That's the word you need to use. That's the word you need to demonstrate. And that's what the customer wants at the moment. Sorry, Ruth, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, actually, it's really interesting because at the beginning, I'm just kind of pegging it all down to boxes and how much I reuse metal. But there's so much more that I hadn't had time to sit and think about it. So you've helped me to think about it. So thank you. And I am doing a lot more than I thought I was, but I'm not sure I've communicated that to my customers. So that's, lots of things that I already do here that I could definitely share more.
It's a big purchasing decision, is sustainability. So if you do communicate that to your clients, you might even find that to be very beneficial.
Yeah, will do. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we're now running, as we said, we're running a campaign. I think, Candice, when did we start on the jewelry? Is it this week or is it starting next week?
This week, we've started it this week, yeah.
So again, research says it's jewelry, ceramics, textiles, three main disciplines that's where the most money is being spent in the craft market. And we've been looking at different ways to sort of boost and promote that. So jewelry was the first one we picked up. One, because we've got a lot of jewelers on our rolls in the community as well. And from a sustainability point of view, it's the first time that we've really picked it up to this degree and started looking at it. So jewelry is an interesting one because precious metals everybody would use, but also then understanding what else can we do. And I think that's from an Artisanry's point of view, that's what we are committed to doing, is to sort of keep the conversation going. Because like you said, Ruth, you're already doing a lot, but I hadn't thought of it. And that's important, I think, to talk about it, whether it's to your customers or you probably go and speak to another jeweler, and that ripple effect of a small conversation is quite enormous, much bigger than we really think it is. So that's really good. Bianca, what do you think? I mean, you've already said that you're doing a lot of it already, but
the whole ethos of my brand is about, slow fashion, about It's so difficult because I think from our conversation, like, I wear so many different hats. One of the reasons I do digital printing on, you know, the scarves, for instance, is because the quality is so much better, and you know, it's if everything is of a high quality, I think, you know, then you're already sort of pretty sustainable, because this concept of sustainable luxury, you know, if something is beautifully made, you know, to the best, and in Britain, because, you know, for everybody, I'm absolutely passionate about creating in Britain, and you know, you treat the people who make these things well, you know, pay their bills on time, and then you send stuff off, you know, in cardboard boxes, rather than all the plastic, you know, things that, I mean, there was this trend a few years ago of always adding little presents, you know, in with orders. I mean, I've done that to a certain extent, but a lot of it is a bit like McDonald's plastic toys, you know, who really needs those? So I also thought of, you know, the things that I send with the scarves that I send off is things that work from a marketing point of view, but also isn't just chucked away. And one of them was like and is useful. I'm all for, you know, things that can be useful. So instead of sending a card with a beautiful, you know, image on it as part of the present, I made it a magnetic card, because that can always be used, you know, to stick, you know, paintings or drawings on your fridge. Yeah, just making sure that whatever you do isn't just beautiful, sustainable, is, you know, of high quality, can be reused in everything that you do.
I think there was another word, Candice, we were looking at just before the call. What was it called? Circular? No, closed loop. What was?
Yeah, closed loop fashion.
Closed loop fashion, which I thought was really interesting as well. And I think more from Bianca, your point of view, with you working in the textiles, I suppose to some extent, even in jewelry, because it is ensuring that you make something that can be reused into something else. So I suppose, yeah, it very much applies to jewelry as well. But that's a slightly newer word that I've come across. Slow fashion, yes, but closed loop, almost like a closed loop economy, or that we talk about. So
yes, I mean, in what I do, but, you know, this has got nothing really on this is just another thing that I do, but I use Modal, and Modal is a closed loop fabric. It's the Modal is made out of beech trees.
Yeah.
It's a viscose, but the you know, the if you add everything up, when it comes to first of all, the quality is really high, and I've chosen Modal because it keeps the dye really well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so lots of washing, and the quality of the fabric stays, and it's extremely lovely and soft, very, very easy to wear, is durable, and it uses, because it's an European tree. The yarn is made in Austria, and Austrian yeah, Austrians are a lot better than sorry, that's my neighbor. Austrians and the Germans are very good at sustainability, and also beech trees don't need extra watering. They're native to Europe. They're fast growing trees, and that's much better than cotton. because cotton needs a huge amount of chemicals, unless of course you go for organic cotton. It uses a lot of water, and you can't grow it here in Europe. Well, they're trying. I wouldn't be surprised. So I will use, Modal for all those reasons. That it's long lasting, it's sustainable, it's a European thing, uses less water, and then I create and I've almost wanted to stop using the word fashion, because it's more like, garments that can be styled in different ways, and that I don't use zips, I don't use buttons, because and that I decided on that because, first of all, it's difficult to find UK made zips. Zips tend to go wrong, and also being a woman who fluctuates in weight quite a lot.
I could do with that.
Yeah, I create things that you can lose and gain weight with, and yeah. Yes, and they're very plain, but they can be styled in lots of different ways. It's like a capsule wardrobe, but you can wear it. It makes accessories sort of stand out. So that is my fashion line. And then, my embroidered cushions, the embroidery is done in London. It's done on rolls of Scottish linen that is seconds, and I cut out, the pieces that I can use. I use leftover Modal for the piping. Yeah, anyway,
So you do a lot, which is great.
It's part of my brand, and when I first started 8 years ago, the number of times I heard people say, "But Bianca, if you make dresses that will never need to be replaced, then you'll be out of business in no time." Well, I'm sure that one day people will. They're classics, they're very basic, classic shapes that will suit most women, and I do tend to do them from this is wholesale. I do them from extra large to extra small, different lengths. So yeah, basics.
I've just seen a couple of emails come in. I think we've made a mistake with our passcode canvas today.
Yeah.
And that's why people haven't been able to join. What a shame. I don't know how that's happened.
I only managed to get on because I couldn't get on via Zoom, and I went back into Facebook to the events page and poked around there until I found something, but I couldn't get in from the email.
Something for us to check. That would explain why people haven't joined, because I've just had a couple of texts which I had missed totally.
This is the first time we've put the Zoom link in the email as well. We normally put the Facebook event page link.
I think we thought if we put it directly onto the email link, which is something that people have said to us before, where's the link? So we thought we put it in the email, then you go and join straight away. But I think Zoom's changed from 1st of September, and they've brought in stricter policies from today or yesterday. And there is a lot of default that's security settings that are going into it. So I suppose, and we can't take the password off because you don't want anybody gate crashing either. Something for us to go and find out about. But thank you very much. I think this was really interesting. We'll have to post this yet one more time, because it just feels something that we should probably talk a little bit more about, and maybe talk. One of the things we'd wanted to get out of today's workshop was, is there any particular aspect of sustainability that you want to talk about a little bit more in detail, whether it is the packaging, or it's the marketing side of it, or it's the content side of it? It would be great if you give us that feedback so we can prepare something for you and come back and and we can talk a little bit more, give more ideas, give more tips. So that's what I was hoping to get out of it, to get direction from people who would be attending the call. So since I've only got two of you, you can tell us, what would you, do you think this was enough conversation, or would you like more in depth about a particular aspect of it?
For me, it's made me realise that although I'm nowhere near as far on as Bianca is in sustainability and sort of everyday practices, although jewellery is long lasting and I rework old jewellery and all of those things, it's quite good to realise that we're all at different stages on a process, just as we are with our businesses. We're all somewhere different on the stage of that journey, and I think it's just really interesting for me, maybe just I haven't thought about it enough before, in that it felt before a bit like you were either at for jewellers, say, just because that's kind of the community I'm in, you either do sustainability or you don't. And actually this has made me realise that there's, I'm somewhere along that process, and I'm not perfect, and definitely not, there's definitely things I need to look at, but I do reuse packaging that gets sent to me. I do think about how I send things on to my customers, etc. So in terms of what I need, I probably need more of this, like accepting that there are stages to work through, so, and nothing is too basic almost, but also that it's achievable, rather than me looking at this great big thing and thinking I haven't got time to work out my sustainability, so I'll just keep going as I'm going. It's actually useful to see the steps to build up to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And as far as your packaging is concerned, I'll tell you what, we're going to drop a few posts in to see if we can find people who can give us some options and suppliers. Because I know Rosalind mentioned last time that she's got a supplier in Scotland that she uses, and she's very happy with them. They're very sustainable. They're really good, and she'll be, So I do know a few of them who do use some sustainable suppliers, and I think what I need to go and do is to go and collate this information together as a pack that you can dip in and call a few of them and see what works for you, sort of thing.
Yeah. Because it's not that, and I know it's out there. I just haven't quite got there yet.
Well, like I said, different stages of the journey. Bianca's you've been doing it 8 years. But Ruth, you've started when I spoke to you at the beginning of the year, you were just,
I'm about, in terms of business, I'm kind of 2 or 3 years in. So I've had to feel my way about lots of things. This is just another point.
Yeah, so it's recognizing and it's accepting it, but also just being mindful about it. And I think that's the step one for all of these things. And keep having the conversations going. It's important to have these conversations because it makes us all think. Brilliant. I think, thank you very much. Shall we close it? And do apologize for the lack of audience. We will go and sort out this issue from our end and figure out why in the world did this whole password thing go wrong. We'll try and figure that out for the next one. So we'll now do a regular coffee every 2 weeks on a Wednesday around the same time, because we sent out an email, and this is the one that people prefer, 12 o'clock rather than in the morning, especially with schools going back in and people who've got children. So we'll sort of continue around this time, and we'll come back with the next one and we'll see how it goes. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Bianca. I'll be in touch with you regarding what we'd spoken the other day. So I'll catch up with you separately about your table lamps and various other bits.
Yeah, I think I did. Sorry, just very quickly, I did get in touch with the potter. I think it will be a good idea, but I don't want him to. I need to write back to him. I'm very much into collaborations, but I don't want him to be producing something that will cost him a lot of money, because we're talking big. So
we'll pick up from there separately. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks, Candice and Emily. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you. Really helpful. Thank you very much.
Yes,
thanks, ladies. Bye.